Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of The Week in Trial. First and foremost, before I get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to make a note for everybody here that this week marks the beginning of the final week leading up to the Ironman World Championships in Kona. And if you yourself or anybody that you know is going to be competing at Kona next weekend, please heed this public service announcement that I'm making right now. First and foremost, if you or anybody that you know is going to be racing Kona, do not, and I repeat, do not swim in Kailua Bay during race week, during this coming week heading up to race day. Do not swim in Kailua Bay. I see this happening year after year. Athletes that have invested huge amounts of money, training and effort to get to Kona. They are out there on the raggedy edge of supreme fitness, low body fat versus a fragile immune system on the other hand. And what do? They go and take a swim in Kailua Bay, or for that matter, any other race venues, open water swim area, in the couple of days before the race day to get a feel for what the water's like. They go and do that, and then surprise, they come down with some sort of bug that completely tanks their race day experience. And what makes this experience all the worse is they make a miraculous, full and complete recovery just 1 day or 2 days after the main event. But the main event has been an absolute washout, pardon the pun. Remember that every time there's heavy rain, you get massive washing of all sorts of pollutants, feces, etc. down into the coastal bay areas, down into the lakes, and that contaminates the water. You take in a little bit of that water during your race week swim, pick up a stomach bug, your race is effectively tanked. Why risk all of the training, all of the hard work that you've been doing on one simple preventable mistake? If you're needing to get a swim in during race week, find out from your hotel if there's a swimming pool that you can use where you've got a clean environment to get your swim workouts in during the course of race week. Don't go and jump out into the open water. You're just asking for trouble. And especially as far as Kona is concerned, especially as far as the Kailua Bay is concerned, there's been a good amount of rain there lately. I've got no idea what sort of crap, pardon the pun, has been washing down into Kailua Bay. So please, if you or anybody that you know is going to be swimming in or competing in Kona, don't swim in Kailua Bay this week. That's it as far as my public service announcement is concerned. Now let's go and look at what all else happened in the week in trial. First up, I'm going to be looking at Xterra. And as far as Xterra is concerned, all is quiet for the whole of the month of October. Nothing much happening whatsoever. Last weekend was the ITU Cross Triathlon World Championships, where the Xterra athletes were competing. This month, this weekend, and going forward, there's absolutely nothing happening on the Xterra front, because everybody's gearing themselves up and acclimatizing themselves for the heat and humidity that they'll be experiencing at the Kapula Resort on Maui for the 20th Xterra World Championship, and that will be happening on the 1st of November. And I'll bring you updates on what to be expecting in that event as race day comes closer. Locally, me reporting here from Spain, and I hope you like my Ironman Mallorca t-shirt that I've got wearing at the moment, here from locally in Spain. Xterra-wise, this weekend is Xterra Granada, which is down in Andalusia in Spain. Beautiful area. And that marks the final Spanish regional Xterra of the year. And that's all that I can find internationally as far as Xterra is concerned. Across in the States, there are a couple of trail runs, but nothing on the Xterra Triathlon. Then moving it across to what's been happening in the ITU. ITU is also winding down for the year. Last weekend was the grand final. The weekend before last was the grand final, which wrapped up the ITU road season. Last weekend was the ITU Cross Triathlon World Championship, and that happened in Sardinia. It was set over a 1.5k swim, 31k run, mountain bike ride, and a 9.6k trail run to finish it off. And I'm happy to report that both gold medal predictions that I had last weekend, the gold medal for the women, the gold medal for the men, both those predictions held true. As far as the women's race is concerned, Flora Duffy completely dominated the ITU Cross Triathlon World Championship. Just a week prior, she was first out of the water at the ITU Grand Prix, ITU Grand Final in Chicago, and she did exactly the same in Sardinia, except the only difference between Chicago and Sardinia is where she was first out of the water in Sardinia, she backed it up with the fastest bike split and the fastest run split of the day, which then secured her the gold medal. As far as how Flora managed to be doing all of a sudden so well in cross triathlon, especially as far as the mountain biking discipline, it's all thanks to the work that she did during last year's off-season, the December, January into February off-season she spent in Stellenbosch, South Africa, and went mountain biking with Xterra legend Dan Hugo. And it's obvious that that time spent in Stellenbosch honing her mountain biking skills has paid massive dividends. And my personal prediction, if Flora manages to stay healthy and injury-free through the remainder of October, I don't see anybody really challenging her as far as the Maui is concerned. So my expectation is that she'll retain her Xterra world title in November. As far as the ITU race is concerned, second place went to Barbara Riveros, who is another ITU athlete that regularly races in Xterra. She took the silver, and she'll be racing in Maui in November as well. Then on to the men's race. As I mentioned last week, the race was Ruben Rezaf's to lose. And so it came to pass that the understated, unassuming little Spaniard blew the competition away on the mountain bike leg to carry a more than comfortable lead into the run, and this win takes him to a phenomenal 16 consecutive wins at international level. 16 starts, 16 wins. It's a phenomenal run that he's been having, and I've got no idea who's going to be willing to bet against him taking his third consecutive Xterra world title in Maui in November. And then lastly, let's move on to the world of Ironman Triathlon. And one announcement from the Ironman organization is that it has chosen Chattanooga, Tennessee to host the 2017 Ironman 70.3 World Championship. The World Championship race will be split over a 2-day event, with the professional and age group women racing on the Saturday the 9th of September, and professional and age group men racing Sunday the 10th. Splitting up the women's race and the men's race completely, that way there can be no argument post-race that the faster women were able to draft off the faster men, especially in the swim, and pull out a gap on the slightly slower swimmers. So it's going to be a far more level playing field within the women's race for the 70.3 World Championship, as I mentioned, happening Chattanooga, Tennessee, Saturday the 9th, Sunday the 10th of September 2017. See you there. Then, as far as last weekend's Ironman racing is concerned, Saturday the 26th of September, Mallorca, Spain, was a full distance Ironman 140.6, and you had Timo Bracht winning in 8 hours 17, and Daniela Seimler winning the women's race in 9 hours 24. Sunday the 27th was a full distance Ironman 140.6 that took place in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we've got Kirill Kotsagarov that won in 8 hours and 8 minutes, and bearing in mind that the first 3 men across the line all had 8 hours 8 minutes in their race clock, so the top 3 men crossed the line within a minute of each other. Really close racing. There was a sprint finish at the end of a 146 full Ironman race, so first and second separated by 2 seconds. Really close result. Then Carrie Lester won the women's race in 8 hours 56. Then, looking ahead as far as this coming weekend is concerned, on Saturday you've got the Ironman Maryland, USA, was supposed to be taking place. The Ironman Maryland has been postponed due to anticipated flooding in the area, which could seriously impact on athlete safety. So Ironman Maryland was supposed to be taking place on Saturday the 3rd, no longer taking place due to anticipated flooding. That race has not been cancelled, it has been postponed. The Ironman organization will be announcing a replacement date when Ironman Maryland is due to be taking place. That announcement should be coming out relatively soon. Stay tuned to the Weekend Try for that announcement of when Ironman Maryland will now be taking place. Then on to Sunday the 4th of October. Sunday the 4th of October we have 3 races taking place. Oh, sorry, correction. We have 4 races taking place on Sunday the 4th of October. And 3 of them are 70.3s and 1 is a full distance Ironman. As far as the 70.3s are concerned, you've got the Silvermane Triathlon, which is in Henderson, Nevada. As I mentioned, that's a 70.3. Secondly, Ironman Korea 70.3 is taking place on Sunday the 4th. And then the third 70.3 will be the Rio de Janeiro 70.3, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 70.3, Sunday the 4th of October. Then, as far as the full distance Ironmans are concerned, you've got Ironman Barcelona taking place on Sunday the 4th of October. That's a full distance 140.6. And I can't quite get behind how the Ironman organization planned these sort of race dates, because they seem to be really clashing with each other. Just a week ago, there was a full distance Ironman 140.6 on the island of Mallorca, and a week later, you've got the Ironman Barcelona. So you've got 2 full distance Ironmans, both in Spain, both literally a ferry ride apart. And I don't see many athletes racing both events. I don't see many local Spaniards racing both events. So why put 2 events in effectively just about the same location a week apart, which would obviously be in competition with each other as far as athletes are concerned? That doesn't quite make sense to me, but be that as it may, Ironman Barcelona is coming Sunday, the 4th of October. It's a 140.6 full Ironman event. It used to be the Challenge Barcelona. The Ironman organization bought out the race organizers and rebranded Challenge Barcelona to the Ironman Barcelona. So it's not really a new event on the calendar. It's just a rebranding of an event that's been around for a long while. So that's the Weekend Try. You guys all stay carved up there for the win. Stay safe out there on the road. Please feel free to share this video out amongst all of your triathlon friends. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button if you like the content, thumbs down if not, that way I know what we're putting out in the future. And last but by no means least, down below the screen over here, there's a big red subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, stay subscribed to my channel for all the new content that comes out on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and every Friday is the Weekend Try where you can be Get all your triathlon news in one place here on YouTube. That's it for this week. Stay safe out there, as I mentioned, and I'll see you next week for another edition of Week in Tri. Monday, we've got athlete questions that we're going to be answering, but next week, Friday, it's another edition of the Week in Tri. Until then, take care out there. Cheers.